Hey guys, it's Alex from Source. We are here in sunny Silverwater, Sydney at the RØDE Headquarters. I'm joined by Ryan from RØDE and the new NTR ribbon. So Ryan, obviously this is the first ribbon mic that RØDE have ever made. Talk us through kind of the idea of it. You know, how is it different and what were the challenges that you guys faced in, manufacturing a product like this?
Sure. So we've had our eye on making ribbon mics for a long time, but we didn't want to bring out a ribbon until we could make something that was very unique and special. We didn't want to make just another ribbon. And that is the, kind of where the NTR was born from, was looking at ribbons and going, okay, how can we make something that's, for one, more accessible to be used in a range of different preamps. For two, doesn't suffer from the problems of a lot of other ribbons, like the dullness that you experience from other ribbons. So in doing that, we've actually had to design the ribbon from the ground up, and we actually manufacture all of our components in-house, like everything from the transformer, the ribbon element itself, even cutting out the actual aluminium that's used, the 1.8 micron aluminium. So it's all done in-house here at RØDE, and it just enables us to make such a good microphone at also such an incredible price.
So how would you describe the sound of it, and how is it kind of different to other ribbons? Obviously other ribbons can be kind of dull, and what have you done to achieve that?
So you kind of have to go through the whole signal path of the microphone to understand what makes it so special. Now, firstly, we're using one of the thinnest ribbons in existence. So the actual aluminium element of the ribbon is 1.8 microns. And an important differentiator is that most manufacturers will manually cut the element out with a razor blade by hand, with maybe some kind of a jig to line it up. They'll cut it out. What that does is it actually results in some microscopic frays along the edges. If you can imagine, the aluminium that's used inside the ribbon is thin enough that if you blow on it, it'll just disintegrate. If you just went like that, it's gone. Okay. So we're dealing with some super delicate kind of materials here. And what we do here at RØDE, in contrast, is we actually laser cut every single ribbon. It means that every single ribbon that comes out of this factory is identical in its dimensions, and it also means that you don't get those microscopic frays that over time will fatigue the ribbon as it kind of vibrates under load and will damage the ribbon over time. So we've got this super thin ribbon element that's then got its protections and everything around it. It's got a very short signal path to get down to the transformer. Now, the transformer we wind in-house. We couldn't possibly make the ribbon at the price that it was if we were buying an off-the-shelf transformer like many other big companies do. Now, we make the transformer in-house. It's incredibly low impedance, which means that it has a very clean signal going through it. The other interesting thing is that the impedance of the ribbon motor itself and the transformer are perfectly matched, which basically means that you get the best transference of audio between the two. The transformer then steps up the voltage in the cleanest possible way without adding noise to it, and it goes into the active part of the microphone, which basically gives it a transparent lift and brings it up to the level that you would expect from many condenser microphones. Now, the cool part about that is that you can actually plug it into basically any preamp. Usually with ribbon mics, you need a lot of gain to be able to get them up to the right level to be able to record with. At the same time, when you're running your preamp at full noise, you're bringing up the actual self-noise of the preamp, So you don't have to do that with our ribbon. You can actually use it with a wide range of preamps. And through having such a low impedance kind of signal path all the way through the ribbon, we've managed to actually get a lot of that high frequency detail to stick around that is actually usually quite rolled off on a lot of other ribbons. So you can use the NTR on a lot of sound sources that traditionally you wouldn't be able to use ribbons on.
To use it kind of just like a large diaphragm condenser.
Absolutely.
Think of it as the same sort of. Yeah.
Now, it does still have the character of a ribbon. At the heart, it has a ribbon motor and it's going through a transformer, so it sounds like a ribbon. It just has so much more detail than you would normally expect from a ribbon mic.
I was really surprised. We tried it on vocals and it just sounded ridiculously good. Like, it has this really kind of full kind of low end, but also it still has presence. It's not it's not a dulled sound. So you could use it for vocals as well as cabs and all the other stuff.
Any range of instruments. It's still going to sound fantastic on guitars and brass instruments and those really sharp kind of instruments that really benefit from having a rounder kind of microphone. But it's also going to work really well with things like vocals, where you want to get that kind of presence from the you know, the sound of them singing properly, you know.
I understand it's got a figure of 8 pattern. I mean, how is the sort of off-axis rejection and...
Any ribbon microphone is a figure 8 pattern, and the reason for that is that the ribbon is actually, you know, kind of moving on that axis, so you're getting a pickup from the front and the back, and it's identical pickup from the front and the back. So what you do is when you're in the studio, you keep that in mind, especially if you're doing a live recording. You can actually use it to your advantage because you then get a really nice rejection from the sides. So as long as you're kind of angling the microphone that the sides of the mic are rejecting in the zones that you don't want to pick up sound, you're actually going to get a really nice kind of pickup. It also means that you can actually get a little bit of distance from your vocal or whatever you're recording and still use that rejection pattern in your favour to make sure that you get a nice rejection.
How sensitive is the element? I mean, one of the sort of kind of dangers I've heard about using ribbons is literally how sensitive they are, that you can damage the ribbon. I mean, how sensitive is this and how careful should we be with it?
Yeah. Now, you're not going to damage the microphone with SPL, like with a loud sound, but you're going to have to be very careful not to drop the ribbon because it is very sensitive. There is a chance that you're going to damage the element. It comes with a travel screw. Now, this isn't actually, you know, kind of part of the microphone when it's in operation. What that does is actually lock down the ribbon element, which is suspended. Another interesting thing with the ribbon is that you don't need to use an external shock mount. It's got suspension internally. The ribbon motor itself has enough mass that we can suspend that inside the cage, and it means that you don't need to use the shock mount.
So you just get the clip, basically?
Yeah, so you mount it straight onto the clip, you remove the travel screw, which is just there to lock it in place so it's not bouncing around when you're kind of storing it or moving it. And then, I don't know if you can see that there, but the ribbon element itself, sort of, the motor is actually just suspended in place there,
So this mesh shield that's here, is this a pop shield? Do we need to add a pop shield to the NTR?
So the mesh is actually pretty special in this as well. Now, we wanted to make the mesh as open as possible and still retain strength. So we've actually got, if you look at it really closely, we've got this hexagonal pattern, which means that it maintains really strong outside strength. You can't crush it, but it's also super open. Now, the idea there is to make it as acoustically transparent as possible, but that also means that wind will still get through. It's a protection against the wind getting to the element, but it's not going to give you absolute protection. Now, there is protection in front of the element itself, right up on the motor there, that will stop wind from directly damaging the mic. But when you're talking about picking up audio and getting rid of plosives, you will need to use a pop shield, or it is recommended unless you give it a bit of space and make sure that the wind from the vocal is actually not hitting directly into the ribbon element.
Thank you, Ryan. I mean, if folks have any other questions or want to kind of hear a clip of the NTR, is there somewhere they can go? Yeah,
so if you head to rode.com and go to the NTR page, we've actually got a recording with a wonderful Australian artist called Katie Noonan that we did with only 3 of the NTRs, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. And I mean, she's an amazing artist and plays a wonderful song. So if you want to actually hear the NTR, you can head to the website and check it out. If you have any specific questions that aren't addressed on the website, you can just hit us up on Twitter at RØDE Mics, and we'll get back to you right away.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Great, thank you.